Have you ever considered buying real estate here in Marbella and the Costa del Sol, but you don't know what to do about your interior design and your furnishings? Well, you're in the right place. I'm Cassidy, the owner of Nusun Realty, and we help international buyers like you find their next dream home. This is the Nusun Network, and we are here with Bruno Leal, who's the operations manager of Mad About Furniture. We're going to be getting into everything which should hopefully take the stress away from you. Let's dive in. So Bruno, welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on. So tell the audience about you and about Mad About Furniture.
So I'm Bruno. I've been working at Mad About Furniture for a year now. I originally moved here about a year and a half ago. First I moved to Barcelona, and then I moved to Marbella to work in sales, and now I'm the operations for Mad About Furniture.
Fantastic. And can you tell me about what Mad About Furniture is and how it started?
Well, it started 25 years ago with Steve and David. They're both the CEOs. They originally lived here in Marbella for a long time.
Okay.
And from what I know is the initial start of the idea was that they were working in furniture, but they wanted to make that process easy for everyone who's buying. Yeah. And the whole process, I mean, down to the whole interior. Someone is trying to buy a property and they don't know how to fully furnish and they want to buy pieces, maybe go to IKEA, buy a sofa or a bed, and you just want to make it a complete set so you don't have to stress about it. You move here and everything's sorted for you. That was the idea that they had, to make it easier for everyone. So from my understanding, it was just something that they were really passionate about, and they put their full into starting this company.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because buying a property in general here, right, if you're from the UK or anywhere, it's stressful. It can be stressful, right? It's a new thing. And the last thing you want to be thinking about is, how am I going to furnish this house? I bought this massive villa. It's just white walls. There's nothing in it. You know, where do I even start? And I think that's a really important thing, because you're right, it is stressful. So this is how Mad About Furniture
that is the key. And also you got to think of, like you've mentioned, if you're buying a big property and it's really, really stressful, first of all is, where do you go for a company that is trusted, and especially the fact that we've been here for 25 years doing that and giving, you know, a really, really great service. That is what puts us out there and gives us that confident side to the client, saying, you're moving here to Marbella, we can do all it for you, and if you need a presentation, we do it for free as well. So I think that's what stands us out. Is that the fact that someone is contacting us and they don't really want to pay anything up front. We do it for them, and then from that process on, we kind of guide them to an easy process of just, this is a presentation, here's a quotation, do you like it? What can we do for you? What are the problems that you currently have in your property? We don't just do the furniture, we kind of help them with anything else. Let's say if they need a bit of building work or whatever, we can also help them in that. We work very closely with other companies that can sort that out for them.
Okay, so if someone's coming in, they've got a house, for example, let's just imagine. I mean, I personally, I'm being a bit selfish here, right? I sell a lot of off-plan stuff. So when it's handed over, there's nothing really in it apart from white walls, you know, and obviously the flooring will be in and stuff. But that's normally it. There might be a semi-modern, you know, there'll be a modern kitchen, but it might have only certain things in it. But people are coming in wanting their own design. So how would they come? What would be the process for coming to Mad About Furniture, for example, and going through? You mentioned about a consultation. So what does that look like, that process?
So the process would be, if they've got the floor plan and an idea already. If you don't have an idea, that's fine. You could just go simply to our website and view some of the projects that we've done, and then you can pick some ideas. We've got loads of furniture. So if you don't have an idea of what kind of style you're going through, then we can also offer, you know, our interior designer, which will come in and we'll offer them like some sort of style to start with. And if they don't like it, then that's fine. We give them another different style, and then we work on that until they're fully happy. So we start from there. So as long as they're happy with the style, then we go to the renders, what kind of furniture, where they're from, and the costs and the prices, and, you know, depending on the budget as well, we can make it affordable. Or if they want really nice things, we give them really nice things. It's up to them.
So it depends.
It depends.
So you can go that full range, but you can work with them in order of their budget, in order of what they want, and you can work with them and be flexible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is, I think, one of the great reasons why we are very good at what we do is because we don't just do, we do high end, but we also do really affordable prices for everyone.
That's
so
good.
You could go to somewhere like IKEA and get really, really good, nice priced furniture. But you could also go to us and have the same style that you're looking for, and you don't have to go to IKEA. We'll do it all for you. We'll make it affordable. We'll make it good.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think as well, it's they're going to physically have to deal with IKEA, for example, for going the IKEA route.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of stress, right? They're going to have to wait for things to get delivered. They're going to have to do all this. They're going to have to think about the design, maybe get a designer in to do stuff.
Yeah, but imagine how stressful that is to go and buy a piece of furniture and have it delivered every single different day.
Exactly.
And you just get it all done in one day.
Yeah. So you guys take care of that full process. You come in, and you mentioned about renders. They're showing them renders. What do you mean by that? Would you be showing ideas of the design?
So we would do the whole design.
Right, okay.
But for the renders, that will be in a quotation side. So that will be the actual furniture. So so for example, where it's from, what exactly furniture is, because you can do an interior design, but you can see some really nice furniture, but you don't know what it actually is. It looks really nice.
Yeah.
So that's what the render covers. So you've got both sides. You've got the whole presentation and the renders where they get to see the pricing and the actual furniture itself.
Okay. And what you mentioned, so you covered the whole. So where do you? I think you're based in Estepona, right?
Yeah.
Estepona, and that's where you've got you've got your furniture showroom.
Yeah. So it's actually midway Estepona. So from here, Marbella to Estepona, we're midway.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just next to. We're located in Monte Biarritz. That's where we are.
Okay. And that's your showroom.
That's our showroom. We've now moved about, 8 months ago. We've moved to a bigger showroom.
Okay.
So we used to have one across the road, which is slightly smaller.
Right.
And we decided to go bigger, more things for clients to come and see, check out for themselves, feel, which is really good. So we needed a bigger space.
Yeah. Well, furniture takes up quite a bit of space, right?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Okay. So they've come in. They've got the quotation from you. They're happy with the furniture. Is this all stuff that you've got in the showroom, or is there certain things you might have to order in, for example?
If they don't like something that, well, for example, if the furniture that's in our showrooms are really, really nice pieces as well. So, I mean, if something that we can show them or we don't have it in, we can order it for them. That's absolutely fine. But we do get clients coming in and asking, I want this specific furniture piece. Yeah. And then, we can absolutely get it. So we don't, it doesn't have to be what's in our showroom. We could get anything really, any style. We work with too many suppliers.
Right, okay. Well, that's good to know. And in terms of where you cover, the areas you cover from, I think you mentioned along the coast, but if you got like a from and a to?
Well, you could go to Mijas, all of that area up to Manilva.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, we do go further as well.
Benomadna, Torremolinos.
Yeah, so we cover all those places. The only thing is, ideally, if someone is furnishing from a long distance place, it would be, a full apartment. It's pretty kind of hard to just do a furniture piece.
Yeah.
But based on the fact that it's like really, really far, we ideally like to take the full project,
Got you. And is there anything that you think people maybe underestimate when they're thinking about furnishing a property?
Yeah, I think some of the things if you're buying furniture and there's any problems, then what's the process of that? With us, it's we rarely have issues, but if there are, we've got you covered. Yeah. So it's one of those processes where if there are any problems, we're there. We have great customer service. We're fully attentive, and we'll make it happen within weeks. And that's the thing about coming to us, is we can actually get a full property furnished within 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Wow, okay. Sooner, depending on what kind of furniture they want. Yeah. So if it's something really high end from Portugal, let's say, so somewhere else, we can get it, but it takes a bit of time. That's fine if they're happy for the wait. But the good thing is we can get it done quickly. That's really good to know. I think as well, it takes the pressure off of people. Mm-hmm. As we said before, about just having to figure out the furniture, where to go for it. It's not just furniture. I mean, I think you do design, right? So what would the design work be? Would that be like artwork and everything else? Yeah, I mean, it could be. It just depends on what the client wants, really. but it can be anything. If they want a specific design, we will go and work closely with their suppliers to get exactly what they want. But if you're talking designs like painting and stuff like that, it's a bit different. We can also do it, but we would just contact the suppliers for them to make sure that they get what they want. But if it's wallpaper or stuff like that, we can
do that as well.
We can do that as well.
I think that's important. That's really good. I'm thinking about my clients. I'm being a bit selfish here, but I know a lot of them. Furniture is a bit of a stressor. For them. I experience it quite a bit. In fact, I think you helped one of my clients.
Yes. Small world.
It was a small world. And he bought a big villa.
Yeah, he was really happy.
He sounded that. I heard the voice message. So it's good to know. But listen, it's anyone who definitely comes to me, I'll be recommending it because there is people that do staging, property staging along the coast, but they don't have a showroom.
Yeah, I think that's the issue because people want to see and touch, they want to feel, they want to know what the actual furniture is, and if you don't have that, then it's a bit of a problem. I guess that's down to your sales skills, I guess.
Yeah.
But if you can come to a showroom and have that full service of just sitting down and getting it all done in one day, because you can do that as well. You come sit down with us for a couple hours, we go and work on your presentation. We'll sit down with you, we'll go through everything that you really, really want, and then we'll go through the whole process.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. The fact that you could come to a place and just deal with all that and just have that all done and go back home and sit down and relax that it's all sorted. I think that's the feeling that we want to give to our clients.
And can you do it so if for example, if they're not in it, if they've got the property, it's sitting empty, they go back to, let's say, the UK or Ireland or wherever it is, can you do all that stuff while they're away?
Yes, absolutely. If they've got the keys and they've got an agent involved or someone give us access, we could go there, view it. We could go start the process for them whilst they're away as well. We get everything delivered and we would look, everything's delivered, everything's done. When you come back to Spain, you've got your house ready. You've got a bed to sleep on.
So they can come back to that property, fully finished, they've got somewhere to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's really, really important is the fact that you can do that whilst you're abroad. You can work with us wherever you are in the world, but you just know that the full process is being taken care of, Mad About Furniture, and we've got you covered.
And what challenges do you see that people buying from abroad would normally see when they're trying to furnish your house here?
I would have to say that if you're buying a property and then you've come over here and then you've signed all the papers, everything's fine, and then you don't know there's something that the water's not turning on or the electricity is not turning on for 4 months.
Yeah.
And then that client's bought the furniture and then they're waiting for a very long time. I think that's one of the biggest issues we've had quite a few times. Just someone's bought a property and then they're waiting for a very long time to move in.
Yeah.
But the property's theirs. Right. They've got the keys, everything's done. They just can't simply move in because there's no electricity, they can't have a shower.
Wow.
So the furniture is in there waiting for them.
So you've done your bit.
I've done my bit.
Yeah.
But then and then they have to go back home or they spend a lot of money on flights just to come over here because of the communication or the wait time. And I think, it can be very stressful. I've seen some of my clients really just have very difficult time with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, what can you do apart from in Spain? I guess it's a little bit.
It's and this is probably why good lawyers are important. It's part of the process for buying a property. The lawyers should be making sure that the utilities are switched over and everything else, and then you should be setting yourself up for your direct debits. But the lawyers should be really part of that. And I think it's why it's important to stick with good lawyers.
Yeah, I think that's very true. But what do you do when they, on the other side, they just don't deliver and then the lawyer's done his bit and they're still waiting? I think that's one of those things that you can't just...
No, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if the utility companies are slow, then that's going to impact you. So that's one of the impacts. But I'm assuming as well, it's we've alluded to it, is just having to come over and maybe not being there on the ground all the time.
True.
Maybe not understanding some of the styles and stuff that are good here. On the coast.
I think so too. It depends. I feel like if you go to a very good company that's going to provide you the full service and they're good at delivering, I think you're not going to have that issue. But if you're going to a company that's unheard of and you're dealing with them and you don't know the process and they're bad at communication, then you already got red flags there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really ideally go.
Of course. Of course. And is there any sort of furniture, just talking about furniture, is there any furniture pieces that maybe don't do too well here, or maybe styles that don't do, perform very well here in the Costa del Sol?
I say mainly outdoor furniture because it's out in the sun and we have a lot of rain as well. So I'd say rattan is one of them.
Okay.
It's gone off. It's not as popular. Still, people buy it. It's a good piece. I like it. But in terms of long term, not that great because it's just it's the type of it's kind of like wood a little bit. So it just if you leave it outside in the rain, it gets wet and it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
And also the color deteriorates. But if you go for aluminium, then that furniture piece will last you a very long time. So I personally would say that if you're going to go for any furniture for the outdoors, I would go for aluminium because that's going to last you a very, very long time.
Ah, it's a really good point. Actually, it's a good point for me because I'm looking for.
Oh, well, go for aluminium.
to furnish my tent. So okay, aluminium.
Yeah, aluminium because you've got great styles. You can even find things that look exactly like the rattan style, but it just will last you a very long time. And especially if you're dealing with rentals, you don't want furniture that's just gonna, people could easily damage or they've got dogs and whatever.
Yeah, people can pick it, the rattan and all that sort of stuff.
So I would say aluminium. It's the best bet and the safest bet.
That's really good advice. And just on that, you've mentioned rentals there, but do you see any major differences between furnishing a rental property versus a property you're going to live in? Are you seeing any differences from maybe the approach that people take, but also what you recommend?
So for rentals, ideally it's also down to what exactly. I mean, if you're buying a really high-end villa, and you're going to want to spend quite a bit of money to make that look good because you're going to want to charge a little bit for a good price for the rental inside that villa. But if you're going small, if you're going a 2-bed apartment and you want to go affordability and you want to go really good furniture that's going to last you, so we'll cover on those both sides. Okay. And I think that's really important. You don't want to be spending a lot of money on, a 2-bedroom apartment that you're going to rent, and you're not going to ideally live there, and you might have the odd damages along the way. So affordability is probably one of the biggest things, just to make it good and affordable. And I think that's what also helps us when dealing with clients that are buying to rent, because we offer good prices and we help them with good furniture, and then they've got two in one. So it's really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So really just think about the affordability. Because it could be that, especially for short-term rentals, right? I mean, some of them, the people who stay in them, they don't really care too much because it's not their property. True. They're there, or maybe they have a few drinks. Yeah.
Especially here in Marbella.
Exactly, right? So obviously for them, maybe thinking about something that's maybe durable, but don't go super expensive. Yeah. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. I think you've got to make sure that you're not going to spend a lot of money on really, really high-end furniture
that could be broken.
I would say buy that for your house.
Yeah.
Spend that money on your house. Not for rentals.
Not for rentals,
because you just don't want to. You don't want to have to be spending a lot of money, especially if damages, and then you have to go buy a new piece.
And are you finding that people come with that knowledge to you already, or maybe you need to sort of guide them?
Not for rentals. I think a lot of people already come for knowing that they're not going to spend too much, but we'll also go, we'll give them a good advice as well, even if they think, right, we want to go really, really low here, and then, well, look, you've spent this amount and you're going to rent for this amount. If you're going to spend 5k thinking that you're going to get a bed and all of the outdoor furniture and everything, well, chances are you're going to have really, really bad furniture. It's going to be really, really cheap, and it's just not going to match your style. The style is everything, because someone is renting it out. They like the way it looks. So you've got to think of style, and you also got to think of affordability. But if you're going to go really, really, really cheap, it's not going to work. Yeah. Personally, that's what I think.
Yeah, probably the durability of the stuff. But also I think the competition here is really high. In terms of the short-term rentals you see in Airbnb, there's loads of them. And I think you need to make sure you're standing out against the competitors. So having cheap furniture, or what looks like cheap furniture in photographs, you probably won't stand out as much. And also you might get some bad reviews when they're there, right?
But I mean, how much are you renting it for? And what's the view? You know? And if you've got a property at the beachfront and it's really, really nice, you kind of want good furniture, affordable. durable. So you're going to want all of those combined. That's why we're here.
No, exactly. And just out of sort of styles of the, sort of the styles, because here in, here where we are in Marbella, we've got people from all over. We've got people from the UK, Ireland, Sweden.
Yeah, I never knew that until I came here.
Yeah, everywhere, right? They're from all over. Do you see any sort of styles that people are looking at? Is there any sort of themes or consistent styles? And does it depend on where they're from?
So, I mean, if you're going to go for the Ibiza style, really popular. Really
Ibiza
popular
style?
Yeah, and that's like white.
Nice. Boho site, Bohemian type.
Yeah, Japandi as well, quite very, very popular. Modern,
right?
Really, really popular. But I think a lot of it is Ibiza style. Just basically, it's Marbella.
Yeah.
It's like Miami.
Yeah, okay. So that sort of beach house type.
Yeah.
Vibe.
Especially if you've got like access to the beach.
Yeah.
You're gonna want that style.
Exactly.
But it also depends. People have different tastes, and that's why we just make it happen to this history. We'll give our opinion, but people want what they want, and we've got to make sure we deliver it.
Right. Has there ever been any time where people maybe came to you and asked for something, and you're like, that just won't work?
Yes. I think mainly was what I mentioned earlier about the rattan style, and they're usually okay. They go, right, makes sense. We want something that's going to be durable, but sometimes you've got to kind of like help your client and say, look, this is not going to fit. This is the bed that you want. It's too big. You have this amount of space, and you can put this. This is what we're saying. If you want to do it, that's fine. But this is what we recommend.
Yeah.
I mean, people want what they want, but we'll give them our opinion and our suggestion and what we think will work better.
Yeah.
Usually they do go for it, which is good. So they trust in what we do, and they trust in our opinion. But mainly, you can't go have all that space and put a massive bed you're not gonna have bedside tables, and
it's just a room with a bed in it.
It's a room with a bed. So I'll be mainly. But we have a lot of clients coming to us and just with really crazy ideas, and we just gotta help them out with it.
You've got to navigate around
it. But usually that will be the interior designer. We'll say we'll look at it. We'll even go view the property to make sure that everything's going to fit perfectly. One thing we can't do, which we had a few issues recently, is doing a project and giving them a quotation and then ordering everything without going to see the property.
Right.
Very, very big problem, because mainly you've got to make sure everything fits.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that people don't take in consideration is like sockets inside the bed.
Good point. Yeah.
So if you've got if you want that nice big bed like I mentioned, but you've just not taken consideration of the sockets, then you don't have access to a bedside table on the side or left, or, do you know what I mean? So it's one of those where we have to make sure that everything is perfect. And if they don't have the keys, well, I suggest we wait, just to make sure that when you come, everything's going to be good. And everything's going to be great. Because if we're just ordering things and
hoping
that's going to fit, and then we have problems. So that's what we don't do. So we go there, we go to the property, we view it. Even our initial presentation and quotation, even if it looks good and we think some changes need to be made, we tell them, we inform them. If they can't be here, that's fine. We can go view the property as long as we have access.
Of course.
Yeah. So as long as we have access, we can go do it for them.
And you may obviously you sort of touched on garden furniture. Mm-hmm. So do you have that in your renders as well about the look and stuff of it? Because some in Spain the garden's just as important as an interior.
It's important because you're in Spain.
Exactly.
And it's just it's nice. People eat more outdoors than they do indoors.
Exactly.
So if you've got the space, you want to spend a good amount of money on that. You want really, really nice. But that's when I say really, really nice top end furniture, aluminium style. You get Ibiza look, you get Japandi look, you get any type of style you want. Just make sure that it's good for the outdoors, and we'll give you a nice presentation. We'll go there, we'll take some pictures, and we'll show what will fit and what will look nice.
And where do people mostly overspend when maybe they shouldn't have to?
It really depends, because if someone wants to spend a lot of money on good furniture, they might be overspending it. But if they've got a really, really nice big villa, I would say yes. I would say, look, it's going to look really nice. You're spending good. Let's not go too overboard, but what you're spending on, you're going to be able to rent that out for, because you spend a lot of money on that property, so you're going to be able to get your returns on what you want to rent it as. But It's like I mentioned before, if you are buying a property that it's a 2-bed and you don't want to overspend on that. You just want to make sure that it's affordable.
Yeah.
But we'll advise when we have to. But if someone wants to go flashy, go flashy. It's gonna look nice. It's gonna look good.
But what about if, I mean, for example, if they're saying I want to get this chair, for example, but you know there's maybe something else that looks similar.
Yeah.
But actually it's maybe a little bit less money.
Yeah, we will absolutely do that. We'll absolutely. One thing I think we don't like to do is not to get what they don't want. Yeah. Right. And then we want to make sure that some of them are already really prepared. They've already done all of their. They know what they want. They know what they want, and then we got to give them what they want.
Yeah.
And we don't want to lose a client, so we want to make sure that they have it. But we will absolutely give cheaper options, or just find something that's very similar, very affordable. And guess what? If they don't like it, well, we'll go for the one you want.
Of course. No, of course. That's just really good to know. And then just in terms of the services you offer, obviously you offer the furniture. Mm-hmm. You mentioned about interior design.
Yep. So that's
just talk through that process, but also anything else that you're maybe offering as well.
So the free interior design is what one of the most catchy things about.
Oh, so that's free?
It's free.
Wow.
And the fact that you can get that for free and not have to go pay 5k or however much you pay for interior design, which is very spendy.
Especially here.
Yeah. So we do that for free, and then you get to see something before you even buy, and that's really good for someone to sit at home. That's over in the UK or wherever they are in the world, and just say, look, I've got this floor plan, I've got this style, can you make this level? Give it to them and say, look, now do we want to book an appointment and go through the process?
Yeah.
But also, as you mentioned, things that we also do, we do free installation and free delivery. So that is that's free. So we do that. We do the installation, which is really, really good. Like the whole team will work on a full day just to make sure everything's up and ready, put the beds up, you don't have to do anything, and then you don't have to worry about the delivery.
So what are they paying for then?
Not really, nothing really.
So they're paying for the furniture, right? So you buy the furniture, you get the installation for free.
Yeah.
You get the delivery for free.
Yeah.
And the interior design for free.
Yeah, that's all. And
you don't get that with you don't get that with other furniture companies, right? You just buy the furniture.
You don't. And I think that's the main worry. If you're going to, I mean, they're very, very good companies out there, but if you're going to be paying for something that you haven't seen and you're just paying on the fact that they offer great service. Yeah. Well, we do great service, we do free delivery, we do free installation, we do free interior designer. So really, well, come to us.
Yeah. And I was about to ask you if you're going to recommend to anyone who's thinking about furnishing a property and they're buying from abroad, for example, what advice would you give them?
Say get in touch with us. Get in touch with us and give us your floor plan, give us your ideas that you want, tell us your budget, and let's work on a presentation for you to review whilst you're out there. And then let's book in a meeting and let's go through the whole process together, and we'll show you what we can do. And where can people find Mad About Furniture? So you can find Mad About Furniture on our website. So you go at madaboutfurniture.com. Okay. You can also send us, we have a chatbot there, so you can send us information about your property, and then we'll get those details, and then we'll contact you instantly, within minutes really. Perfect. Listen, Bruno, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you.